Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm so glad to have you with me today. I am down here in southern Baja, Mexico, and I'm going to change it up a little bit this week. If you were here to see the building of the ultimate overland expedition vehicle, that will resume very shortly, or if you're here to get a glimpse of the Baja Divide bike packing series, that also is coming real soon to the channel. But today I want to talk about this KTM adventure motorbike. Now, I've had some videos in the past that we have covered sort of some of the upgrades, but it's been a little bit of a while since I've updated you on a couple more upgrades that I have made to this bike, and I have hit just about 6,200 miles now riding it since I bought it in what I guess it was December of 2021. So this is my third season with the motorcycle, and I got to tell you, most of the 6,000 plus miles I've had on dirt. And I've out here in the desert today, kind of trying to pick a little bit of shade, but there isn't a lot of that certainly around in these parts. But today I want to talk about this bike, 6,000 miles on, and the upgrades that I have made.
My name is Michael LADDEN. After visiting over 120 countries on 5 continents, I made the bold decision to sell all of my possessions and become a full-time nomad more than 4 years ago. Currently, I am traveling in my self-built ex-Army overland expedition truck, complete with a KTM motorbike, bicycles, kayak, a one-wheel, and all the essentials needed to explore this incredible planet we call home. Join me as I share my adventures and stories from around the world.
All right, let me get right into the upgrades. Now, in a past video, I've discussed many of these, and I'm going to go over them very briefly in today's video. So I will put a link to that video down below here in the comments so you can check out all of these things that I'm talking about. But probably the biggest upgrade that I've made in all of the time that I've had this motorcycle is the Tusk rack and the pannier system, which is from Moscow Moto. Now, these two bags, along with the top bag and the tank bag, all from Moscow Moto, are sort of life-saving, if you will, in what I do, which is full-time on the road in a big overland rig. So I use them to go to get groceries, to pick up propane, to pick up water, you name it, they come in super handy. In addition, if you want to go for, like, say, a week or a weekend on the road, my tent system, sleeping bag, all of that camp gear fits in these bags. So that has been probably the largest upgrade I've made on this motorcycle. I've talked about in past videos the double take mirrors, because the stock mirrors on this particular motorcycle really are atrocious from the factory. I've upgraded various things in my what I'm going to call my communications and or GPS department, running with the Garmin Overlander here on the bike. I've got a RAM mount system for both my iPhone and for the Garmin InReach right here. Other than that, from the factory, when I got the bike, I invested in, which has been huge, particularly because I'm almost all off-road, the aluminum underbody guard that goes under the engine here, as well as the aluminum guard that goes in front of the radiator. Other than that, I have made some other upgrades in the past that I have talked about. The big one here is the Black Dog Cycle Works foot pegs, because once again, that was kind of a weird thing from the factory, where the stock foot peg was kind of sloped at, say, like a 30% angle, and it made it for really awkward riding off-road where you're really inclined to be standing all the time. I also put on a high fender here in the front of the motorcycle. The only issue and I discussed this in the last video, was doing a little modification, because obviously it's no longer attached to the suspension part that goes up and down. So under super heavy suspension travel, it was rubbing a little bit in the back of that. So I kind of made a modification on that as well. So let's talk about probably the biggest upgrade I've made since the last video, certainly in the world of comfort and ease of use for this bike off-road, and that is these handlebar risers. I'm not super tall, and this riser added, I believe, I'm going to put this in the links here on the screen, it added about 1 inch of rise on the bars. And in addition, I kind of tilted them slightly, and I got to tell you, when you're riding, standing up, it made all the world of difference. No more sort of hunchback, and it just, you know, the stability and control of the motorcycle is so much more improved with these risers. Since the last time you saw one of my upgrade videos, I have added the Bark Buster tried and true hand guards. I got to tell you, the aluminum frame on these is significant and strong, and you can see sort of from a few of my little scuffs when I've managed to dump the bike in some sand, super upgraded over what the stock hand guards were for sure, and are protecting, I don't know if I mentioned in one of my videos, but I had broken the end off of the brake lever. So it's protecting both of your levers far better than what was stock on this motorcycle. They also, of course, come in orange and match the bike super nice, so that part I love. I've added the Baja Design Squadron Pro lights. I do a lot of riding in desert conditions, and sometimes inevitably you end up doing it at nighttime, and these make all of the world of difference. These two little lights, they don't look very big, but they will definitely light up the trail in front of you and do a great job with your depth perception and visibility at nighttime, particularly down here in Baja when you're always looking out for some kind of cows, goats, or whatnot that are wandering around in the road, which is pretty much par for the course all of the time. I also decided to, for on-road more visibility, I decided to upgrade the blinkers on both the front and the rear of this bike. I think I talked about it in the last video. It comes standard with non-LED lights. So these are just really a cheap alternative that I found on Amazon, and I installed them. It was a super easy install. I found with these lights that I did not have to upgrade and put in a resistance block for the LED. They seem to blink at the regular rate, so I'm okay with that. I know other people have talked about getting various different upgrades where they've had to put a resistor in to increase the amperage so it would blink consistently. I have not had that issue with these particular lights that I've installed. Probably the number 2 upgrade that I've done since the last time I've talked to you guys, and I really don't know if I can pronounce the name of this brand properly, but it's Pugue, I think. This windscreen increased the height of the wind resistance against the bike probably by about, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 inches. It makes a huge deal on pavement, on the road at say 60 to 75 miles an hour. It's a game changer. So I would definitely recommend it. It doesn't seem to get in my visibility view off-road very much, particularly because you're standing most of the time. So this was probably second to my bar risers, was the biggest upgrade that I've made since the last time I've talked to you. Now, purely cosmetic, but I don't know, what do you think? I have put on a full motorcycle body. It's not a wrap, it's actually individual stickers, but I kind of jazzed it up, and there's quite a few companies online that do this now, and it's become fairly inexpensive, and they're matched to the particular model of your motorcycle. So if you want to look a little bit different than everybody else, there you go. I did the Drive the Globe orange sort of upgrade to this adventure bike. One of the other upgrades that I've made is adding this upper crash bar from SW Mototech. The stock KTM here comes with this lower crash bar, which quite frankly was pretty sufficient. And if you did dump the bike, it was amazingly protective of the motorcycle, particularly with, I have soft bags on the rear, and I ride around even when I don't necessarily need the bag sometimes, because I find if I do dump the bike anywhere, the soft bags create sort of a buffer between the machine and the ground. But I added the upper crash bar here, which I have in turn mounted these Baja Design lights on. So there's some more additional protection for the rest of the motorcycle up top here. As you can see, this one is a little bit scuffed up too. I guess it's no question whether or not I actually use this bike off-road. It's kind of obvious by looking. I talked extensively in last video about the computer system And particularly the flaw from the factory where you would either stall out the bike or turn it off and it would reset all of the functions on your computer display here back to turning the traction control in particular back on. And that becomes very frustrating, particularly for somebody like me who is riding almost all on dirt and off-road. So with the latest flash that you can now get in the United States, it's been out for a while in Europe and in India, I believe. The upgrade has now added a ride mode. So you have on the screen here, you can see you have a ride mode that is either set to off-road or on-road. And then you can still switch your motorcycle traction control and your ABS functions. So it's increased sort of different ride modes, and it's increased the flexibility. And I will tell you now, when you stall out the bike, as long as you have not switched the key back off, your traction control stays off. So that was enormous. All right, I have saved the largest upgrade for last. And when I say largest, I mean the Overland Expedition rig that is parked behind me. I built this truck this summer, and with it, I built a garage for the motorcycle. Now, the other piece of equipment that I'm going to show you right now that's super important to this operation is the motorcycle loader. This is designed by a company called LADDEN out of the Netherlands. And it runs basically on a cordless drill. And my drill isn't even that good of one. It is rated to lift, I think, almost 1,800 pounds. And my bike, it only weighs 400 pounds. So I'm going to show you how that works. But that is by far the biggest upgrade for my KTM motorcycle. Pretty basic. You just load the motorcycle right into this wheel chock. You got to get it lined up appropriately. And there you go. Not touching it. All right, I just basically strapped down these two ratchet straps with some tension on them, and then she's going to be good to go. And up we come. With 2 speeds to the drill, you can definitely use the high speed until you get up probably to the lever point at which it cantilevers over, and you'll see what that happens. Now you'll notice that my clearance on the store is very tight, so I sometimes have to realign it slightly to get it through, but we're going to see. And now as it gets to the top here, the force of this, which basically runs on what looks to be like sort of like a seatbelt, is now going to tilt down. There you go. And this is where I see if my bark busters are aligned with the door. And it looks like they are pretty close. Yep, there they go. And then all you got to do is in she comes. And that's it. So basically unloading on this thing, it takes, I timed it, it took about 56 seconds to get it on board and about the same to get it off. So when you're planning on using something, if it takes too long, you're not going to do it. So how is this motorcycle and what are my feelings on it after 6,000 miles of riding it off-road? Well, I gotta tell you, for me, with an inseam of like 30 inches and short, what I would consider to be short legs, this bike is easy to ride. You can move it around. If you dump it, it's easy to pick up. It's fairly light. Even with all this bag and gear on it, it's probably still under 400 pounds. Full of fuel. It's perfect for me on board my truck, and it's a perfect sort of get around. Now, what it's not great at probably is the ground clearance is not very significant, particularly compared with obviously enduro bikes or some of the other larger adventure bikes in the category. It hasn't become a big problem for me. I never got around to upgrading the wheels. The later models of this is a 2021, the later models have added spoked wheels, which is nice. These are the original cast ones. You know, I ride a lot of rocks. Right where I am right now today has been very sandy, chunky rocks. And, you know, I've gotten used to it so far, crossing fingers, no problem with the wheels. I will say that these Bridgestone Battle Axe tires, the rear tire at this point is pretty much toast. It's been on the bike for about, I would say 4,500 miles. The front is fine. The rear is toast. So when I get back to the States, that's probably one of the first things I'm going to buy is another tire. I've been very happy with the tire. For what I do, I would say you're about 4,000 miles is about the max you're going to get out of this tire. At least that's from my experience. The bike has just done everything that I've needed it to do. The quick shifter is nice if you're lazy. You don't want to, you know, use the clutch all the time. But other than that, you know, in my mind right now, I'm not looking at any other bikes. I did spend some time at a KTM dealer looking at the new 890 Adventure R, which I got to tell you is super cool. I did get a chance to ride it. I think for me, it's just a little bit too much bike. I'm pretty much focused on, you know, I would call it light duty and in a lot of sand, and weight is definitely the enemy. So I think I'm going to be sticking around with this bike for quite some time. Maybe I'll look at a newer 390 Adventure. They're making some upgrades. I've heard the next model has got to have, you know, significant changes. So we'll be waiting to see what that looks like. But overall, definitely give it the 2 thumbs up. In summary, I've got to tell you, this is probably the top addition to my overland journeys by far, and with the new loading system, I couldn't ask for anything better, really. So once again, the 2021 KTM 390 Adventure, it's a double thumbs up on this one. Thank you again for joining me today in today's video, and I will see you next week.
I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. And did you know you can join for as low as $5 a month for exclusive behind the scenes Drive the Globe content? Thanks for joining me today. I really hope that you liked this video. And if you did, give a big thumbs up. Please subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next video.